three of us. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 5-8, where we go over the week's 5 most fucked up topics. Tonight, 5 topics, 3 hosts, no guests. We're the guests. A little singing. I forgot to let you guys know we're going to play a little thing in there. A little dancing, maybe, definitely some drinking. As many cocktails as we deem necessary. Welcome to the 5-8 Friday night, my friends, my fellow hosts.
Yes, we've returned to the mothership.
Greg Olear is out of country doing his day job, and then he'll be back next week. I think I will be here next week. It won't matter. It'll be a great show, so we'll go on with this. But I'm so happy to be here with you guys tonight. It's just lovely to see you. And we should explain. Should we explain?
Yes, please explain.
Should we explain?
Please explain.
Okay, who wants to explain why we're dressed in our pajamas and kimonos?
Yes.
Nadine suggested that we come in our pajamas, and I forgot. But yes, I had to go back and get my pajamas on.
Our pajama party. I said, let's have a pajama party. And everyone said yes. But we're also sarcastic when we're messaging each other that I thought you're like, yeah. Well, I even said I sleep in the nude. So, and so
that would have been fun. We would have charged for that. That would have been definitely an after hours membership only. Yeah.
So everyone who's listening, feel free to go ahead and slip into your pajamas.
Slip into your pajamas because also we're losing an hour of sleep this weekend, but we're getting some daylight. So
yes,
I don't know if that's good news or bad news. I like the daylight. I don't sleep anyway, so what does it matter? I'm especially not sleeping this past week. I'm really having a hard. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we were on air on Friday night, obviously last Friday, and as soon as we got off the air, it was sort of, I think I went to sleep. I was talking to Greg, and then I was up in the middle of the night. It's like, we're at war with Iran. I'm like, fuck, what is this? And it certainly seemed by the time we got, I forgot to put our banners up. By the time we got like at least 3 cups of coffee in me over the weekend, by the time we got to like Monday, Tuesday, it was like, this is a war. This is a full on, not just and regional conflict now. There's no questioning it.
I mean, Mike Johnson, one of the most supine leaders of the House ever in the history of that institution, had the audacity to give a set of remarks in which he said, we're not at war. According to the Secretary of Defense, war, they did name it, although not lawfully and not through congressional power, the Department of War. And it's only been, I don't know if we get, I feel like time is both super slow and super fast, Stephanie, because it's like, it was just January 10th. So just 2 months ago when Trump gave an interview to the New York Times in which he said the only thing constraining him on foreign policy is, quote, yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind.
That's right. I forgot about this morality.
It's the only thing that can stop me. And apparently it cannot. Yeah.
It cannot. No, it cannot. Nadine, I have some top line stuff I want to go through, but I want to hear your thoughts first on where you were and what that was like for you to sort of where your brain went immediately.
Well, I remember, it's weapons of mass destruction all over again. I remember I was driving in Vermont the last time, and when we went to war in this way, shock and awe under false pretenses and all of that. And I remember we pulled over, and pretty soon, just a trail of cars pulled over to the side of the road. And
oh, wow.
It was just sort of stunning. So, I think people aren't buying it, though. You know what I mean? It is, it will not distract people from the Epstein files. It will not distract people from the trading economy. And here's a president who brags about stopping wars that don't exist while pushing us to the brink of World War III, in real terms. So, Barron won't have to claim bone spurs. My son's too tall to go, right? So, but I think we keep waiting for the moment where America just has had enough and can no longer normalize what he's doing. And it feels like we've shifted to another gear. I've spoken before about my friend who runs Leaving MAGA. And I think
How's
he
it going
is
over there?
I think it's in overtime. There's so many people. In fact, if anything, you can feel really gaslit by this moment where Nick Fuentes and, Alex Jones and Candace Owen are, telling Republicans to not vote for Republicans in this midterm, to stay home, or if you have to vote for a Democrat. I mean, we're through the looking glass. It's such a strange upside down that we're in right now.
Yeah.
But it feels like something something is breaking in
MAGA.
MAGA.
Yeah,
MAGA shattering in MAGA.
It's going through some things, but I don't think, those are big voices. They're influencers. That is where so much of MAGA only gets its messaging as news, other than Donald Trump, primarily, and his social media garbage. But I don't think that elected Republicans are against him, are fracturing either. We'll get to Tom Tillis in a second. I don't think that's going to happen. I think everybody's going to keep falling in line. And I think the Republicans that have the power to actually do something about this monstrosity that a gaggle of idiots put back into power, and a lot of corruption put back into power. I don't see that. So I would say optimistic on that front. I don't even think if all of their voters say we're going to throw you out, I think they're still not going to go against the administration in any way.
Well, what they're doing is they're resigning.
Yeah, I remember that the first time too. Remember that? There was Jeff Flake, and there was a handful that resigned.
Yeah, but I mean, there's more every day. Listen, I'm not going to pump you full of hopium for sure.
Right.
I mean, I'm not here to say we're on the downslope of this, but I am saying that we are seeing more and more fissures. We are seeing more and more, you can say, well, we'll get to Kristi Noem, but there are real people stepping away from him.
There's the politics of this, and then there's actually what's going on with this war that I want to highlight. Just some stuff that we learned in the first 6 days. This is what we've learned in the first 6 days of the war, 7 days of the war. A company named Cerebus, I don't know if anybody knows what that is in our audience, but they're an arms manufacturer, basically. Just think of Halliburton. Remember the whole Halliburton thing with the Gulf War we were in before, right? And that Dick Cheney, people in the administration, were tied in with Halliburton and there to make a lot of money. Well, the reason that is such a big story and something to never forget is not because it was inherently corrupt, but just we need to, especially we've got this incredibly corrupt administration that doesn't do anything that's not a gangster move, no matter what, just self-enrichment, empowerment, threatening others, all of that. But once you have a private arms company, right, that's a gajillion-dollar company, hook itself into the war machine with an actual war going on, once it's almost like a parasite that you get in there, that is going to suck the host dry. We're the host. It's our tax dollars. It's, there's no undoing that. There's almost no stopping this war for at least several years, because now we've got a massive company connected in and tied in with the administration that's got its fangs sucking out of tax dollars now to provide to make money, to profit off of this war. So this is, as soon as that news happened, it was only a matter of time, and it came right off the bat. I was like, okay, as soon as the war profiteers are in on this, which they're always salivating and they're there, but especially if there's a connection to the administration, we're looking at a really prolonged and extended conflict. So that's just sort of one big thing I want to make sure everyone's got it, like, this isn't going to be wrapped up in whatever time. Then we've got, just as a side note of insanity, that's helping to fuel this, right? Because the more missiles that drop, the more we have to buy, blah, blah, blah. Iran painted these silhouettes. Did you guys see that? They had the painted silhouettes of fighter jets that they put on buildings and whatever that the satellites can pick up, that have are decoys to pull bombs. So we're throwing missiles. We're spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, dumping all of these missiles on nothing but a painted silhouette that costs them, $20 in paint to do. Like, this is, and we're too dumb to know that. Our Department of Defense or war, whatever it is now, led by this alcoholic drunkard, frat boy, and we've got generals talking about holy wars. I'm not trying to bash our military. We still have this incredible military. I'm just saying the leadership and the decision making, the strategery. I don't have any confidence in the strategery. I think the strategery is really bad. Finally, then today we got the news that Russia's actually, we saw the gas prices go up because of this is all the oil around all this. And they're looking at the gas prices going up over $1.50 a barrel just because of this conflict. That's enriching a lot of folks that are tied into the administration, but it's also gave an excuse for the administration to loosen some sanctions on Russian oil. And in exchange for that, Russia decided to take all of the classified information that had gotten out of Donald Trump for the first term, and probably this term as well, considering how many people the Kremlin has in the administration, and go ahead and give Iran the targeted locations for our treasure and our blood, to just bomb the fuck out of this, all these strategic bombings and everything that Iran has been doing. We've got 15, 17 countries, something involved in this right now. They're getting the intel directly from the Kremlin. So we're rewarding them. We're rewarding them by lifting sanctions on their oil. I mean, Putin's getting everything he wants out of this.
Yep.
He gets to get rid of these crazy Iranian leaders. He's just got one dude who's going to give him everything with his corrupt administration and the corrupt party. Got rid of his Maduro in Venezuela because now he's got Donald's going to do everything for him. Why does he need all these other people?
I mean, it is just extraordinary. And I feel like I want to just add in a couple of things.
Yeah.
One is there's been coverage of, not just the deaths of our troops, of people in our armed services immediately as a result of this war of choice by Donald Trump, this unilateral action based on his supposed feelings of an imminent attack from Iran, where we've had, challenged and strained relations for, 50 years, and suddenly it's imminent. He decides, among one of the several rationales they floated, the trial balloons they floated to try to justify this terrible situation. But there hasn't been very much coverage of the apparent bombing or inadvertent bombing of a girls' school, of school children. So we know, at least in theory, the tally of deaths of U.S. soldiers so far, although that sounds like it may be understated.
Yeah, I think it's understated. Yeah.
And we have underreporting, as per usual, of civilian casualties.
Yeah.
This is not a strategic strike in that sense, that it's broader, it's deeper, and the types of weapons that are being deployed, aren't as smart as kind of as you described, but maybe hitting the wrong targets, including innocent children, which is, one of the hazards of war, especially war led spurred by someone who's reckless and doesn't actually, seem to care much about ordinary people. But the second thing I wanted to say was, Cerberus, or that company, Cerberus, which is named after the dog that guards the gates of darkness. There are multiple components of that company. It's got multiple different variations on it in terms of holding companies and investment companies and the like. But the person who has spearheaded it is Stephen Feinberg, who's a major Trump donor, has given a huge amount of money to Trump, and he was rewarded in the first term with a role on national intelligence on the president's intelligence advisory board. But his real role right now, as we speak, is that he is the Deputy Secretary of Defense. The Deputy Secretary of Defense. He was confirmed in a narrow vote last March, a year ago almost to now. And you can look at his financial disclosure forms, which ProPublica has finally been able to get all these things extracted from the supposedly publicly accessible database at the White House. And you can see the multitude of holdings he has. Now, he might suggest that he doesn't, quote, profit directly from these decisions, but it's quite clear when you look at the financial disclosure forms that he profits on a set basis based on the profits of the companies that he's created. And so not only do we have, the weapons industry benefiting, kind of in a general way from this war, we actually have the Deputy Secretary of Defense of the United States of America, whose company is directly, involved in weapons, in weapons that are going to be used. So I just want to flag that for folks.
Yeah.
Nadine, anything else before we move on to possibly the reason for this war?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I say this a lot, because I think it is hard for those of us who grew up baked into the myth of America, baked into this idea of us as the Nazi fighting, spread democracy around the globe, to right now understand that we keep ascribing to incompetence what is actually part of the strategy. Like, this is not about removing, the evil leadership of Iran. There's no interest whatsoever. There is always profit motive. It is the only thing. They put people in positions like Hegseth, like Kristi Noem, and now Mark Wayne Mullen, who's going to take over, that we'll talk about in a bit. But all of these decisions are about putting stooges in place so that they can run their racket.
Yeah.
And so, it's like the question of whether or not you are pro-troops or not pro-troops becomes utterly irrelevant. And the most pro-troop thing you can do is to make sure that people are not sent to die for Trump's profit. And that is the situation we are in on Polymarket. Within an hour before the bombs began to drop, brand new accounts. And keep in mind, Polymarket, Trump's kids, one of his sons sits on the board. Right? Mm-hmm.
This is a gambling site for people watching that might not know. This is a site that allows you to gamble on anything.
Including will America bomb Iran? And shortly before the bombing began, 7 new accounts pop up and pinpoint the exact window when the bombs begin to fall and made millions. And we saw it in crypto. We are seeing it now, and it's pretty scary to see bets now being placed on when nukes will be deployed. So this is a criminal enterprise. It is not nation building. It is not expanding democracy. They could care less about whether Iran is run by, heartless, oppressors. All they care about is lining their own pockets and using our tax dollars, our kids, to execute this war. So, let's not dignify the idea of this as though it's in a usual framework of why countries go to war.
This is gangsters in the casino.
Absolutely.
They got a Polymarket casino. I mean, it's shocking, but it's what it is.
It's gangsters also trying to distract from the ongoing revelations of
their sexual compromise. Well, let's get into it. All right. So Epstein, Iran, Russia, Iran. Epstein. They're actually all connected. We don't need to get into those, but there was some news that, more of this rolling stuff that's going on, even just the last couple of days. What was discovered in terms of missing files, knowing that then the reporting, tracking it down. Of course, there's troves of missing files. I mean, there's just beyond, but there were some specific files that reporters were able to identify because the numbers were there, but the files were not, sort of thing. The documents were not, and got to the bottom of this was a cover-up by Pam Bondi and whoever it was in the FBI that she had polling information to specifically protect Donald Trump, that there was a survivor who had the FBI had interviewed 4 times and found credible for her accusations of then president. When they interviewed her, it was during Donald Trump's first term, that it kind of surfacing with that second Epstein arrest in terms of them tracking her down again, the FBI or some district of New York. So this is someone who was a minor, a very young girl when she was allegedly raped and abused in the most vicious way by our now president again. So that some of her testimony is out, but there's still quite a bit missing. I don't know if you guys have looked at any of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, these are both shocking and in some weird way not shocking allegations. But they specifically go to the questions that Pam Bondi was asked over a week ago in the House of Representatives, in that committee, where she claimed there was no evidence of any kind of any wrongdoing by Trump when they were withholding specific evidence of deeply wrongdoing by Donald Trump, alleged by someone who both told a friend about what happened to her and gave consistent statements to the FBI that were documented in, Form 302, witness statements, and witness statements are evidence. You don't have to have physical evidence. You don't have to have, the DNA to pursue a case. You can have the statement of a person who states credibly that she was harmed by someone else. And that's what happened here. And, her description, the description that has been first of all, the NPR helped identify this gap in the numbers, in terms of the sequence of documents. And then once those documents were released just over this weekend, as we're bombing the hell out of Iran, you have allegations that, that in response to Trump trying to force her to give him fellatio, that she bit him and he hit her, and that another woman, an adult, told her separately from all this that, to really to protect her figure, she needed to wear a bra when she slept. And that both what happened to her with Trump in her allegations and the woman who was there, a blonde woman who was there, have haunted her to this day. It is what she alleges is despicable. And it's not the only set of allegations against Trump, but it's a particular set that they've been trying to hide now for months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to, this is so heartbreakingly evil that it's hard to fathom. But there are, the part of the story that I just want to draw attention to is she said that he threatened to kill her and her entire family. And her name, Katie Johnson, she said, Trump told her he could make them disappear like Maria, a 12-year-old girl, Johnson says, Trump also forced to have sexual contact, and whom Johnson hadn't seen since the encounter.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The fact that they tried to hide this part of it, the fact that they've gone to such lengths to try to keep this from public view, and all of the parts that we're of the Trump Epstein files that we've had to pry out of their hands, is to some degree a confession. There's a reason that in the court, if you suddenly start deleting files, knowing that you're going into litigation, the court finds that persuasive that you have guilty intent, right? I mean, it is not a neutral act. And I don't think we should be treating this at all like anything but something akin to a confession of guilt, the degree to which they are hiding these things and how much they align with how he conducts himself. When he called that woman Piggy, that reporter Piggy, you could, the malice, the fury. Does he sound like someone who wouldn't have struck?
Listen, it was verbal violence. Words can be violent. This
is what he was willing to do in front of a group of reporters on camera. More than watch him lose it in that way.
Well, I mean, the other part of it is that everything he does is rapey. It's like people don't consent. He says it anyway. People, don't agree with this. He wants to do something. He does it anyway. That pathologically is the action of a man with the mentality of being a rapist. And although I'm loath to give Jeffrey Epstein any credit for having any character, it is in fact in the documents that have been released that Jeffrey Epstein told Larry Summers in an email that I've met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous. Now, I would say that Jeffrey Epstein doesn't have a decent cell in his body either. So takes one to know one.
Which makes him a credible witness to Trump's evil. Yes.
Yeah.
Listen.
Okay, go on. Yeah.
We're all headed to hell in a kerosene suit, as far as I'm concerned. This is, there was one project I was sort of helping someone with. I wasn't working on directly, but I was helping a friend with, had a big television project that didn't end up, they shot the pilot, did all this work on it, and then it didn't end up going. But the partner in there and the advisor and then the woman whose stories was based on was a survivor of a child sex trafficking and then sex trafficking as an adult, right? So, and it took her years to figure out what had happened to her and to pull herself out of that. And she's taught me so much about, just why these cases are so difficult. So if the FBI is going and interviewing a victim several times and recording all of that and looking at this as part of, and this becomes underlying evidence for another case, right? This is what happened with this particular victim. You're looking at, as you said, Lisa, real evidence. This is the evidence of the crime. The child, the person, is actually the evidence.
Yeah.
So when you're pursuing it, and it's very tricky because they're so terrified and traumatized. Many end up, with issues, drug addiction, and so many of the children are runaways and this whole thing. And so that's why so many sex trafficking cases actually don't get pursued and don't come to court, because your evidence can run, literally your literal physical evidence of the crime can run away, and often does.
Yep.
And so for the FBI to know that they had this evidence in this witness that was this credible, and what happened there is what happens in a lot of cases is threats, intimidation, witness intimidation, and she pulled back. He was too powerful. He's still too powerful for one child victim as an adult, but a child victim at the time of the criminality to take on, right?
Right.
Especially when that person is also sort of overseeing the Department of Justice, in Trump's refiguring of what the Department of Justice is. So,
but let's also just put this into perspective.
So, to me, it just gives it way more credibility. And I wish people would talk. I'm sorry, Nadine, I just want to finish. I wish people would just as they're talking about it in other forms of media, bring in experts like the woman who consulted, I was learning from, and understand the process of what goes on with the FBI and with prosecutors, with the evidence as in the form of a victim, what that process actually is, so that the weight of this, because we just have people saying, well, for interviews, they wouldn't show up for it. But if you go into that, it's beyond they wouldn't show up for it. They were literally, he probably would have been prosecuted. Like if this was happening. Well, they had the evidence.
Yeah, I just want to say we were watching in real time the Kavanaugh hearings, watching a woman that America believed.
Oh, yeah.
What she said, right? And yet his tears, like the idea that people didn't vote. Kavanaugh isn't on the Supreme Court because they didn't believe her. He's on the Supreme Court because they believed her and didn't care. Believed that whatever pain she suffered was not sufficient to stop his ambitions. You look at Bill Cosby, dozens and dozens of women.
Yeah.
An open joke on the comedy circuit. And he only ended up in prison because Hannibal Buress made jokes about him being a rapist, which finally cracked open enough of the public consciousness. And and that's
another male comedian had to, yeah.
And so we keep seeing over and over again a permission structure for rapists at a scale that seems like, how on earth 60 victims, Bill Koff. So should it shock us? Should Diddy shock us? Should Jeffrey Epstein shock us? Should any of remember Dennis Hazard?
Yep.
It's like, it's not an anomaly. It is how it works. It is there is something in the psychology of America that says, and you know what? Every horrific thing that we are hearing about, thinking about being done to these young girls and young women, there's a history of that in the U.S. on stolen land with stolen people. And so whatever we see being done to the least of us will be visited upon us. And the drone strike, that Russia using drones in Ukraine. And now there's will we begin to see, in a world where Hegseth wants Claude AI to remove its safety mechanisms so that AI can be automated in its killing, not waiting for an order to be given, but simply automated in its ability to launch lethal attacks against humans. That is something that we don't think of that as, oh, well, that's in the theater of war against people who are enemies of us. No, that is technology that if it is deployed there, it will come here. And we're seeing this in schools where there's a school that has turned its surveillance system over to AI. And I'll look up the details, or somebody in the chat help me look this up again, but where AI called police to a school, police on the grounds that there was a gun on campus, and police arrived, guns drawn. The gun turned out to be AI misreading a bag of Doritos. So what I'm just trying to say, all of these things are connected. The permission structure for a coach to abuse, athletes is the same one that supports Kavanaugh, that supports all of these, and we've got to rip it out by its roots.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nadine. And I just want to add, I think, when I think about all the allegations that have been made against Trump over the years, including several allegations of sexual assault, including the sexual abuse, right? the sexual abuse that the court found, in finding against Donald Trump for E. Jean Carroll, that how many times do there have to be accusations before there's a change in the way people think about that? Obviously, not every allegation is proven, but one of the things when I was working on fighting Kavanaugh's confirmation was that I cannot believe, although I can believe, that in America we have a concept that is just hardwired in, which is the false accusation. And I was convinced at the time, and remain more convinced than ever, that the real problem we have is the false denial. We have an epidemic of false denial and very rare false accusations. And yet it is the job of law enforcement, it's the job of the FBI, it's the job of the Justice Department to protect and vindicate people who are victims and survivors. And yet now we have this department deployed by two people who have been defense lawyers for Trump to aid Trump with our tax dollars in his defense, and not actually pursuing.
Are you saying? Are you actually saying, Lisa, that Donald Trump might be lying when he said?
Yes. Oh, this is the one thing
Totally
he's never
exonerated.
right. Yeah.
He's
The one
totally.
thing. Yeah.
We might have a little karaoke reminder for everybody.
Is it late?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking?
The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal.
You don't want to talk about it, but every survivor's got a story to tell. Everyone knew about it, from the Queen of England to Jean-Luc Brunel. So you can say it's not your signature, but Donald, we all know Jeffrey and the girls in that drawing were at Mar-a-Lago. And what we gather from the birthday book is you're a pedo. You're a pedo. You're a pedo. You're a pedo.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Oh,
Yes, we are.
yeah, we are. It hits different, right? We had to pull one from the archives there. That was from back in the birthday book moment. But it was this is what we're up against, guys. This is what we're dealing with. Okay. Kristi Noem is out.
Wait, I got a toast. We got to do a mid show.
There we go.
Toast. Hang on.
Mid
I'm gonna put a little water in my drink.
All right. Cheers.
Bye. Woof. I say the
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing the whole song because it's sexist, but there's a song that Kristi Noem is a bird-legged. Anyway, if you get this, if you find it, it will stay in your head. It is an earworm.
Oh, no.
And I find myself humming it all day today.
Yeah. Well, you know,
out.
I mean, so I think it's important to celebrate victories, even when the replacements, you go, what? Last year, Ed Martin was nominated to become the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Very problematic record. So problematic that recently, about a month or two ago, Todd Blanche kicked him out of the Justice Department. Too extreme and out of control for them. But then, of course, we've got Jeanine Pirro in the DC office of the U.S. Attorney trying to indict senators and members for saying things like you can't follow an illegal order. So obviously, there's the next step with Markwayne Mullins, which I keep wanting to call Markwayne Mullet. Please forgive me.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah, he is sort of like a mullet, but a mullet from 1985-6 had gained consciousness and was and materialized as a human being. It might be this guy. So
and this guy he
in Oklahoma
in the last 24, 48, 72 hours, repeatedly calling what's happening is a war in Iraq. That guy.
Oh, was he doing that?
Yeah. So I mean, he's not the brightest bulb in the box. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. We don't know how bad he'll be. But I am, relieved that the puppy killer has been vanquished, at least from the role that she previously had and from the, jet of the bed jet.
The bed jet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we should celebrate the. Okay, here's the thing. Yes, small victories ought to be celebrated. The constant pressure, the constant call out, the exposure of all of her spending, all of these things cumulatively led to her ignominious ouster in perhaps the most humiliating way. And it's worth celebrating, right? We should make they should not live comfortable lives while they inflict this much harm. And we should also celebrate the hilarious memes and songs that have come as a consequence of this as well, including somebody who wrote Mark Wayne Mullins can't even protect the border between his first names.
That was the best one.
That was
like that one.
But there's we should have some fun in these moments because tomorrow we're going to have to continue the fight. But it does mean something when he has to back down, when he has to acknowledge, when you get a Marjorie Taylor Greene 3-4 betrayals into her bootlicking, when she realizes there's no amount of bootlicking that will curry enough favor to protect her. And so what is it? A horse, my kingdom for a horse, which Shakespeare is that? This is that king. You cannot, there's no amount of evil. One of his most loyal subjects arranges for the murder of the 2 children that could threaten Richard's claim to the throne. And when he comes back, having done the deed, he gets the cold shoulder.
We keep talking about the nephews. It's so interesting. We were talking about this last.
Yes, the nephews, right? And he gets the cold shoulder because when he was asked to do it, he hesitated for a moment. He showed a flicker of humanity, and that was too much. And so we really are in these sort of Shakespearean times. So when he throws one of his own headfirst under a bus in a fit of rage, it does shake the firmament of loyalty out there. Oh, the other one was people saying, will Mark Wayne Mullins have to sleep with Corey Ladowski as well?
I mean, they bought the jet.
God.
We bought the jet, apparently.
We bought the jet. He's gone too. Lewandowski's out as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to say on behalf of the Minnesotans, I've got the Minnesota the rebel pin here. Okay. I actually was like, I wear pajamas. That means I can't wear a brooch. But then I decided I don't wear a brooch to bed, just for the record. But I put one on in honor of vanquishing Chrissy Noem from the role at the helm of DHS, and also in honor of Cricket, the dog that just was murdered by
that poor baby dog
person, along with the other
damage. And the goat, and the other animals.
The goat.
Tom Tillis calling her out. I mean, clearly the smoke signal went up of get rid of her.
Fair game.
Go for it. But at least that we got to hear some of the thoughts. And for him, there was something extra special about going after her cred as a sort of this, homespun home. I don't even know where this woman came from. She just, when in South Dakota, all of a sudden she's like the governor, and she's like, it was a very Sarah Palin-esque kind of moment of who cooked this woman up, right? And thrust her out there. And it was she was always a very strange character to me. There was no natural progression of this person in any kind of political matriculation or anything. Yeah. Just all of a sudden, we've got everyone calls her the Barbie or whatever. We've got this South Dakota Barbie who then does everything she can to get herself a position with Trump, and immediately spends $200 million on herself in these commercials. I remember seeing those in airports and everything. We were like, what the fuck is this? What is this? Right? It was so strange. So for Donald to say he wasn't aware of any of that, I actually believe her when she says, I had his blessing. I don't think Corey Lewandowski or her would go for doing all of that without Donald saying, oh, it looks great. I think they would look. I think they probably presented it and got compliments and were proud of it. But for Tom
Is
to
it true that her initials spell clan? Is her real name
Yes.
Christy Lynn Arnold? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's true. And
Christy
so-
Nome is a bird. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. But for him to
Right.
kind of go after her, what do I want to say? It's like the saying that they have for Oklahoma boys, right? Who always she's getting replaced with, but the sort of corn-fed cred. Her corn-fed cred got cut. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing, this is a woman who, I mean, I remember the first time she actually came on my radar screen, I was like, did the governor of South Dakota actually just suggest that Trump should, in the first term, based on his terrible non-accomplishments, that he should be on Mount Rushmore? Not with like not getting a little controversy over Mount Rushmore, but like just like she was sucking up to him to get the job of vice president. And she wrote the book thinking the book would secure her the job of vice president. Like she was her eyes on becoming the president of the United States of America.
I don't think we should separate either her putting that story about killing an animal, killing a dog. That I think she had very specific information that Donald Trump would like that story. He doesn't like dogs. He always talks about killing like a dog. He's like, this is the guy that there was some reporting and some history that he did abuse an animal, which is why one of the reasons why he was his parents sent him off to military school. He's got that in his psychological profile. So I think she understood she was courting a sadist.
Yeah.
Courting a sadist. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye, Christy Noam.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, remember when they brought all of the military brass, forced them all to come and participate in that grotesque Hegseth? You know, somebody said part of it was to see who showed any signs of recoiling at the horror that they were hearing. They wanted to get them in a place where they could, you know, when he says, if this makes you sick at heart, do the honorable thing and resign, that it was about identifying who would go along with it, who took pleasure in it, and who recoiled. Yeah. And so now you have, you know, high-ranking officials, the ones who weren't purged, saying this is a holy war, that God is on our side, and this is a crusade being led by their savior, Trump.
Yeah. Everything's a profile. They keep talking about a database they're building. So, and they certainly have the technology with, I think even some of that Clearview technology is about identifying exactly what you said, Nadine. It's like, what is the psychological state of the individual as they're sitting there listening to what's being said? So it's very carefully crafted propaganda coming out of the pie holes of morons. It's like that's the gaslighting. That's the thing that's so hard. All right, let's move on.
Morons.
Speaking of morons,
I can already hear Greg writing a piece with that title.
Pie holes of morons.
Yeah.
Pie holes of morons. I don't know. I've got some zingers coming out tonight, so we'll see. Let's see. Oh God. The Dow, the Dow is at 50,000. I mean, do we want to talk about Pam Bondi? We want to talk about the fact that this economy is poised to, I mean, we'll see. I'm not wishing for a bad economy. God, I don't want that. But
it's never a bad economy for them.
It is never a bad economy.
They play both sides of it. Who was it that said something like it's easier to get rich by dismantling a country than it is?
Peter Thiel and Elon Musk in there and riding with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it's that Naomi Klein disaster capitalism, you know, that's where the profits are made when assets are eroded and they can pick them up on the cheap and then take the cash out, gut the cash out and do whatever they want. Yeah.
By the way, I think Pam Bondi's the next to go because, you know, it doesn't escape our notice that of all of the people who have been participating in this international sex trafficking pedophile ring,
otherwise known as an intelligence operation run by our hostile foreign intelligence services. Yes, adversarial intelligence.
The only person in jail is a woman.
Yeah, that's right.
Of all of the horrific things, you know, occurring under the banner of DHS, she's, a woman is fired.
Woman. Yeah.
Horrible, horrible women, but in a
Horrible.
sea of horrible, horrible men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the percentages don't add up to this. So yeah, if you watch, I think Pam Bondi watching Kristi Noem get kicked to the curb in humiliating fashion is probably tossing and turning. If she,
Well, that's
if
her
she's not-
bestie, right? Didn't they say that they were besties?
Definitely from the same.
They were, let me just say on it, like, this is petty of me, but they were issuing press releases that were in like, some sort of cursive font.
Yeah.
Center justified from the Department of Justice, like the type of thing that I would have written a poem on when I was,
13.
Yes.
Yeah.
With your first crush.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Middle
unprofessionalism.
school yearbook entry.
Yes,
Back.
I mean, it is.
Back.
Yeah, it's crazy. But also on the Dow, like,
Yeah.
gas prices shooting up. And we already saw, like, when gas prices were shooting up, due to other factors, how the grocery industry was just gouging people, in terms of, price increases, shrinkflation. And then, of course, they were like, we have to raise the prices because of gas. And then when the gas prices dropped down, they didn't cut the prices back. Like,
No.
the profits just keep staying. And so who knows, like you said, Nadine, they're going to profit. It's the rest of us who are going to suffer. And then you have this jobs report, which is like the cooked numbers, because
Right.
they fired all the, top professionals who were doing actual statistical analysis that was consistent with previous years, previous decades, previous administrations. And now the numbers that they have to confess to show that the economy is stagnating. And that Dow was in part inflated because of the bubble over AI. Like, the rest of the industries are not doing well. And we know it. People can see it. And then you have people who have lost their jobs and are declaring bankruptcy because of the dodgy Doge nonsense from Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Tens of thousands of workers who had deep expertise that we paid for their, expertise to be experts for us in public health, who have not been able to find other jobs because some of those jobs, like in international aid, are just gone. It was us. And so you have bankruptcies too. You have, families being, decimated. You have measles on the rise. You have the Dow, concerned that this guy who never should have been put in charge of anything has launched something that sounds like, as of today, World War III. He wants unconditional surrender, Dorothy, like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and yet a lot of these business execs have gone along for the ride. They didn't speak up.
I'm sorry. And then the moral there's a moral violence too.
Yeah.
Societal violence. The societal violence from the absolute moral sin of individuals accumulating nearly $1 trillion of personal wealth. Elon Musk is at what, $830 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, and I absolutely started screaming. I mean, there's only a few things make me scream at the television. And I was listening to, I think it was Ari Melber had the guy on that was like the one that was predicting the collapse of 2008. And it was even in the movie Bear Stearns. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Feinberg. I think it was one of the Feinbergs. And so, and he was on there and he was asked, I asked him specifically about what do you think should any individual, should any human being become a trillionaire? And the guy was seeming like he was on this, rant about, or on this sort of stance, his little soapbox is how companies should have conscience and have a role in society and have a moral duty and da-da. And as soon as it touched into, but should an individual, he's like, I don't take anything away from entrepreneurial success. And he started weaving this whole other story around justifying a single human being having that much wealth.
Yeah. I mean,
and there being no tax.
It's crazy. And it looks like they do the least amount of work possible. Like,
he's high. I think he'll be on ketamine. He's like,
right. Right.
He's high. He's
We're
working with
working
our
with Congress.
enemies. He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It just is. He's a puppet.
Yeah.
He's a facade, but he still has all that wealth. I
Yeah.
just want to figure out how we can get this money from these people.
Yeah.
I mean, what it could fund. Holy shit. So Bernie Sanders is out with something for that. It's the only time I was like, oh my God, I like Bernie Sanders right now. 15% tax on folks in that stratospheric wealth. This isn't even like your run-of-the-mill billionaire. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about $10 billion. We're talking about people who are having 200, 300, 400, 500, $1 billion up to $1 trillion and still going.
Yeah, I mean, 15% is modest. I think anyone should support that. I think it should be like 80% or 90%, or maybe even like 99% at that level.
Yes.
Like, oh, you can't just be a single billionaire and like survive and have, your yachts and whatever. Like, why should 15 is a good number. I'd bid it higher. Absolutely.
Nadine.
What more is there to say? What more is there to say? It is extractive. If you have that much money, it means you haven't been paying people who made that wealth possible. It is a world in which when you apply for a job at McDonald's or Walmart, they're showing you how to fill out your government assistance, paperwork, because they know they're not putting you on a livable wage. And at the same time, the owners of those companies that are making this incredible wealth are busy talking about how, people need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I mean, we have normalized a kind of brutally extractive, exploitive system. It's not entrepreneurial. It's not building a better mousetrap.
No.
It's squeezing people until they are too broken to fight back.
It's parasitic.
It is. It's parasitic. It is not innovative. It is parasitic, and it is the rot that is eating us from the inside out.
It's true.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
Well, nice segue.
Listen, it's announcements. So time for announcements. We'll start by saying subscribe, do all of the things. We have a very generous audience, as you guys know. So I haven't been able to, I'm trying to do all of Greg's job and my job in terms of the tech. So, but usually you can gift memberships to people. We do have a membership tier in the join. If you hit the join, we make it very low bar for folks. We'd love for you to come in and maybe in that middle ground, keep supporting us. And we'll do things like bring our wonderful, wonderful guests to you and our co-hosts to you. And these co-hosts have a bit of an announcement too for our audience.
We do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason that we are having this pajama party tonight, I would tell you it's in celebration of Women's History Month. And we exiled Greg for one night.
Yeah.
But and I want to just put in a pitch for a Women's History pajama party every year.
Yeah, I love it.
But the real reason is that we have returned to the mothership because the 5/8½, which it has been an absolute pleasure to co-host with Lisa, is going on hiatus. And so we wanted to be able to have one last hurrah for now and let everybody know that we won't be on Wednesdays at 8. We hopefully will still encourage everybody on Wednesday to take stock of the things that leave your glass half full. We hope that's the legacy of our time together. So it is with deep gratitude to the 5/8 and with everlasting affection from my good friend Lisa that we come here tonight to say to all of our friends who have the endurance to be both here on Fridays and with us on Wednesdays that we are taking a hiatus, and we will miss you more than you will miss us. And with that, I turn it over to you, Lisa.
Yes, it is a hiatus. Not sure what the next steps are, but it has been such a joy to be part of this community on Wednesday nights, and with you, Nadine, with your brilliance and your kindness and your calm, to be the salve to my, I wouldn't call it spite, but outrage. Outrage might be the best term. And looking forward to coming on here with you, Stephanie, and with Greg from time to time in the meantime to help support the fabulous 5-8. And, I'll miss seeing you on Wednesday nights, Nadine. And like she said, we are grateful to our fabulous executive producers, LB and Greg. And we'll see what happens next.
We'll see what happens. I, as the executive producer, I'm holding on to that Wednesday spot. So,
yeah.
When you look, you guys need this hiatus right now. There's life comes in, and it's okay. It's okay. But you're so good. You're so good, both of you. We loved having you on, and I think we might be able to figure out something. But let's take a couple months. Everyone tend to your lives, and we'll we've got that Wednesday night. Wednesdays aren't going anywhere. So
yes, that is true.
Hump days aren't going anywhere. All right.
Right. One last time. Can we lift our glasses?
Let's lift our glass one last time. We're going to make our fifth segment in honor of the half glass full. So I made my half glass full segment.
Yes.
There is hope in the time of FUBAR. Like there's love in the time of cholera. There's hope in the time of FUBAR. Yeah. So
does everybody know what FUBAR is in the chat?
Fucked up beyond all recognition. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a.
I mean, I have to say, I am someone who has a lot of concern about the plans of the man in the White House regarding us being able to have a fair and fully counted election. But I am determined to do my part to get as many people out to vote as possible so that the numbers of turnout are so big and people are so prepared to defend our election results that they cannot muck with them. And at almost every turn, we have seen the effect of this destructive administration, its lies, its deceit, its chaos in Democrats winning in significant numbers, flipping seats and having greater turnout than in previous, presidential election years as a percentage. And so there is a lot to be hopeful for. There's, important time. I'm so glad to have this opportunity in my personal capacity, not my organizational capacity, to say, we have got to kick their asses. We have got to turn out as many voters as possible and turn away, from public office anyone who is a loyalist to this destructive, anti-constitutional, counter-constitutional, anti-human rights, anti-woman, anti-people, anti-dog, just disaster of chaos emanating from this corrupted White House. So I am looking forward to working with you all in my personal capacity on doing whatever we can to turn the tide, both in both houses of Congress and every single seat up and down the ballot.
Love it. Nadine.
Here.
Well,
you know what? I'll return to where we began. There are signs of fissures. There are signs of, as I said, leavingmaga.org is overwhelmed right now with people who are not just leaving MAGA, but they're sort of deconstructing all of the ways, whether it's a conservative religious upbringing or, having a narrow aperture in which they saw the world. They're not just leaving, they are deconstructing how it came to be that they were part of MAGA. And there's something revolutionary in that. There's something not to be dismissed. I also do see that, it was 34 Republicans are retiring rather than face the wrath of the voters. We are seeing the polling shows Trump losing even in his most hardcore, die-hard base, and he's underwater. Independents are fleeing. And the center can't hold anymore when you have, as I said at the beginning, you have all of these disparate voices. Tucker Carlson, all of these people are showing up on my feed, and I just want to say to people, a broke clock is right twice a day. Do not be taken in by the fact that they are saying some of these things that we've been saying all along. But I also hold out hope for this reason. Backlash always creates counter backlash. And Stephen Prothero is an author, a Boston University professor, I believe, who wrote a book that the title of it was essentially why Republicans win elections, but Democrats win the culture. And the basis of it is essentially that the backlash to cultural progress is a lagging indicator. That by the time they mount up to push back, in many ways they've already admitted that they've lost. And I think it is really important in a moment like this that we not lose hope. Hat tip to Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive, because that is the last ember that they want to snuff out.
Yeah.
And when we keep hope alive, what we begin to do is actually think about the world that we want on the other side of this. And, if you remember, if those who are old enough to remember the Reagan Bush years, that whole period of time, Bill Clinton was the coming kid. There was no expectation that he could possibly prevail. And as a consequence, those of us pushing back against those Republican regimes were wrong-footed when it came time to actually take full advantage of that breakthrough moment. So what gives me hope is that I see the seeds of a real uprising where the populism on the left and the right begin to swing back to the bread and butter things, the real life neighborhood things. It is what I'm so glad you were, if I want one thing, Lisa, it's one of those pins, because what has happened in Minnesota shows us that even people who never thought of themselves as political are organizing in extraordinary ways because they're coming for their communities, they're coming for their neighbors. And we just don't let their shock and awe, their relentless cruelty, snuff out the thing that has held us together through the worst times in this country. So that's what gives me hope. Hope gives me hope.
I love that. Okay. I get to have the last word on my thing. So mine is my glass half full is a little bit more intimate in that it's the two of you, and having you be part of our family. You're never going away. You're part of our family. Here at the 5-8, I have learned so much from the both of you. You have inspired me so much just with your ability to come into this format like pros. Greg and I are still like, what are we doing? And we've been doing this for years, and you guys just came in and brought a thoughtfulness and an elegance, and you just classed up the joint. I don't know what to say. And intellect, it's just been just a real treasure in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit, to get to know the both of you and just watch you do your thing. Shows don't last forever, right? Any kind of show in any kind of format doesn't last forever. Doesn't mean this one is particularly ending. I don't want it to sound like we're ending it. It is really, truly a hiatus, but I just want to make sure that, because I know Greg would want to be here too, and just acknowledge what you did put into the discourse, the work that you did, your words, the carefulness of your words, Nadine, the care you take in expressing your thoughts and your wisdom and sharing it is a real, it's a high bar, and it's inspired me. And Lisa, your brain, just watching your brain work And your mouth is like, oh my God, I'm keeping up with her somehow. I'm keeping up with her. Just your freedom with the expression of your mind, your love of without, it's sort of like, there's a love and a humility all in there with the giant intellect that you have. And I just want you to understand that, my God, it's wonderful to watch that shine, you know? I'm so glad you don't hide your intellect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you
So
much.
you're two giant women to me. You're giant, giant human beings. And I love you so much.
Oh,
Love you too.
right
I love you too, Lisa. You cry baby. I'm giving you a hug.
All right, you guys, we're going to get through it. I promise we're going to get through it.